Good morning, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. It's an immense pleasure today for me to introduce us to Luis Gonzalez Chan. Luis is the Global Supply Chain Director at Proximo and will share his experience around decision intelligence with us today. Luis, welcome.
Hi, Gonzalo. Nice to be here. A pleasure.
Luis, would you mind introducing yourself and tell us a little bit more about Proximo? I see that beautiful logo up there. So, Jose Cuervo.
Yes, our parent company is called Becle. Becle is the largest producer of tequila. It's a 250 years old company. We are a spirit company that we are renowned by being the largest producer of tequila in the world. But as well, we have several other categories in which we play, like whiskeys, rums, vodkas, etc. So we are a $2.5 billion company that we are proud of sharing the Mexican spirit across the world by the sale of tequila. But as well, we are proud of having some other iconic brands in our portfolio, like Stranahan's, the American whiskey, or Bushmills, the Irish whiskey, the oldest Irish whiskey in the world.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. The largest tequila producer in the planet. That's
Yes.
pretty awesome. Pretty cool job to have, by the way. Luis, may I ask you to share your experience, share with the audience your experience as Becle started the journey with Aera around decision intelligence, and particularly how you began in the demand planning space.
Yeah, actually, first of all, let me start by explaining that we were not only looking for a demand planning platform, we were looking for a platform that could be expanded into our end-to-end supply chain and helping us to automate several digital capabilities in our company, from the very demands to the supply planning, procurement, and all other functions. So we in reality were looking for something to increase our capabilities in terms of demand planning, but that could be escalated later. So we run a bidding process, and then we explore several different players in the field. And we have chosen Aera because one, it was the platform that that offered to us the most advanced technology with the right price and at the same time the right flexibility to expand our capabilities in the short term, because actually that was one of the very demands from our board of directors. We have to do it very quickly.
That's great, and flexibility is so core, right? In today's world, in today's realities, it's like the need to adapt the business, right, on an ongoing basis has become critical pretty much for every business out there. What about the potential benefits, right? So can you share, Luis, with the audience? So what was your value equation? What were you looking for? So what was the unlock you were trying to achieve?
Well, first of all, the spirits business is a seasonal business. However, at the same time, per its very nature, it's a very volatile business. And if you combine that with the noise caused by the pandemic during the last 2 or 3 years, we have a combination of a lot of complexity, especially in the US markets. So we decided to run our proof of concept with the US market, our biggest market, by the way, in terms of tequila selling. And then we decided to start implementing this tool. After 6 months, we started to see the first results because actually the tool was able to start learning very quickly the patterns of our demands at the state level. And then we started synchronizing it a little bit better with some dynamics of the marks that we were inputting into the tool. And I can tell you that after 8 or 9 months, the tool started improving dramatically our forecast error. Our MAPE has been reduced in some states from 68% to less than 30%, and now is running at 25%. It has happened in only 9 to 12 months after the implementation. So it's something that we had not seen before with any other tool.
Well, that's pretty phenomenal, right? So massive evolution now. And thanks for recognizing and referring to the tool, Luis. But obviously, we all know that none of this is possible without the right people. So kudos to you and your team for making that happen. It's been so far for me, for us, for the team that is on a day-to-day basis working with your organization. It's been a great honor. I think it's like the rhythm, the pace at which things happen with the Becklet team, with yourself is actually pretty contagious. On that regard, Luis, I know you yourself are a fast-moving executive, right? So moving in as part of a fast-moving organization. So what's next in the journey? What kind of use cases or decision intelligence use cases and skills do you have in mind for the near future?
First of all, we are now extending this tool to 85 more countries in the world, what we call the EMEA, APAC, and LATAM regions. That's what we are working right now, and this is allowing us to expand very quickly because the fundamental configuration of the tool could be very easily replicated across different regions, obviously with some small adjustments depending on the country. And for instance, Asia Pacific has a different configuration. However, we are about just to start in December with the rest of the world. So if you think of it, we are implementing in 1.5 years a global demand planning tool, improving the forecast error dramatically across our company in less than 18 months. So I believe this speaks not only of our capabilities as a company to react quickly to improve our processes, but as well the quality of our partners, in this case Aera, to deliver a solution that is flexible, scalable, and very efficient in terms of delivering results in the short term. So that's something that has added lots of value to us. But the other piece is now we are looking to expand that capability across the supply chain in terms of the supply planning capabilities, which is the second phase of our journey towards the integrated business planning.
That's really great to hear, Luis. And personally, the value dimension of decision intelligence is probably the one thing that excites me the most, and it's mostly because, or it's in essence because with every decision you make, right, you can measure the impact. Every single decision has an impact on the top, on the bottom line, on the service level, whatever it is, as you were saying, on the forecast accuracy. But at the most granular level, you can measure the impact, and you can do that real time. You can do that every single day. Now, with such platform, and Luis, I remember back in the day, you always referring, hey, we are a very lean organization, right? And we like to move fast. When it comes to embracing a platform like this, it brings along a new paradigm in terms of a way of working, right? So because companies are used to working in a different way with different tools, leveraging a lot of spreadsheets, but this is different, right? So it's finding that symbiosis of human machine, and so leveraging each other in the best possible way. Can you elaborate briefly on your approach towards driving adoption and change management in the organization?
Yeah, first of all, let me start by saying that the difference between my previous implementations of demand planning capabilities in other companies refer to having large demand planning organizations running the demand planning piece. In our company, we're a very lean company, and I can tell you, expanding that into 85 countries with only 4 persons in a team dedicated to produce the forecast and created a consensus demand plan for the different regions with only 4 persons can only be possible if you have the right tool that runs most of the decision intelligence in the background 24/7. That's one of the biggest advantages. And they are only focusing on the exceptions and the decisions that the tool cannot take by itself. Just by doing that, we are able to implement in 85 countries with only 4 persons, which I believe is pretty remarkable. Because in the past, I would need a army of different talented individuals to run that capability. Right now, we are really excited to see, guys, we're running this with only 4 persons. And when I was explaining that to some senior management of our company, they were saying, really? How is that working? I was telling guys, this is the way it's configured, because actually it is not a normal technology. It's not a tool. It's a platform that provides the decision making. You only work on exceptions on the exact pieces that you want the tool to ask you how to do it. You don't have to keep doing it by yourself. The tool does it by yourself, works 24/7, and the best thing of all, we don't have the turnover of the talent, that piece. So if you ask me about change management, the change management has been very easy because the person dedicated to it are now more free to make interventions in other areas of the company. So that's the amazing part about having platforms like Aera working for us as opposed of us working for a tool.
I like that. I like that. I like the way you put that, Luis. And you refer to humans focusing more, your colleagues, right? So those 4 colleagues focusing more on the exceptions, which are very likely the most kind of interesting topics to focus on, because those are probably more intellectual challenges that would have a broader impact and require that human intervention. And then all the other tasks that might be more repetitive, right? So and eventually a lot more easy, then are handled directly by the platform. So where you don't really need the human intervention. So it's I like the approach you took there.
Yes,
Luis,
and something remarkable in that piece,
sorry.
if I may, is that
Sure.
most of the interventions they have to do is to discuss with the commercial counterparts what are the drivers behind the numbers that they are producing. It's no longer the discussion of if the baseline is the right one or if the forecast, the future forecast is the right one or not, or just trying, to defend one number to the other. We all know that the number is quite right. It's only about how to place it a little bit more or to protect a little bit more the revenue, things like that. It is just the consensus that they have to focus as opposed to generate the information, generate the decisions. Right. It's just creating the consensus and selling the forecast in some regions. That's where they are investing more the time. So they are creating the value in terms of the commercial conversations rather than creating or generating the forecast. That's something that I believe is worth mentioning.
That's awesome. And actually, well, if you think about again this approach, this new approach, imagine if you were to extrapolate this same way of working to all the other areas in the business. The value potential, the value unlock would be massive. So that's super exciting. Last one, Luis. We're slightly short on time. What would be your advice for the audience for those executives, those professionals that are looking into embracing DI and getting started with the decision intelligence journey? Any tips you would give them?
I believe there are several learnings that we've had, and I would mention the 2 or 3 most important ones for us. One, you always have to have a very solid business case, because when you have a very solid business case in terms of, okay, I'm looking for inventory optimization, I'm looking for cost reduction, you have to have that clarity. First of all, you have to have the clarity of what you're looking for, so you can select the appropriate partner and the appropriate technology or the appropriate skill that even Aera or any other platform can offer to you. The second piece is never underestimate the importance, the dramatic importance the master data has, because it happens with whatever platform you want to work. If you don't have the right quality of your data, or the data is not well structured, you will have to work it out in order for the tool to provide the right outputs. And I cannot emphasize enough this piece. You have to have the right set of data so the tool will provide you the right value. Otherwise, you will keep investing lots and lots of time trying to understand why the tool is providing the data or the wrong decisions in some cases if you don't provide that right information. And last but not least, it is about being open to explore new ways. At the beginning, it was even hard for me to understand, okay, guys, this is the first time we will use a platform like Aera based on artificial intelligence that will make most of the decisions for us and will ask us only in the cases that we tell the tool to go and ask us about a decision. In some cases, you do not understand what's behind the decision. But when you start looking backwards why the tool have suggested some numbers, you realize that the tool was correct. Sometimes it's very difficult for us as humans to understand what's the logic behind those numbers. However, if you trust in the process that you have set up along with the Aera, and if you trust of the data that you have provided, you can be sure that the decision will be the right one. So that's something about trust, having the trust in the process that you have set up, and having the trust of the quality of data, so the decisions will be the right ones. And that's something that at the beginning I can tell you. Even I had some questions about some numbers that we were seeing, specifically speaking about the forecast for the specific states. But then we realized that they were the right decisions that the tool was doing. So it has been let's say, a dramatic change management moment for us when we understood, taking a look into the past, that the tool was suggesting the right things to us.
Well, it's pretty fascinating, and for us, it happens with pretty much all of our customers, all of the companies we partner with, where there is a clear inflection point where the trust kicks in. As you said, as human beings, very often we're kind of reluctant to say, "Hey, I need to truly understand the context under which a certain decision is being presented to me." And only when I understand that, then I would feel comfortable in accepting such recommendation. But it takes time. Initially, my initial position would be, "Hey, why is that the case? I don't believe that's right." Luis, I think you and the Benkler team were brave from the very beginning, and so you were looking for an alternative solution, an alternative way of working, and we're all super proud to see the results you've achieved, and super happy and honored to be partnering with you. I want to thank you for being part of this. Thank you for sharing your insights. I always say your energy, your pragmatism is incredibly contagious. And yeah, it's been a great pleasure to have you with us today. Thank you very much for your insights and recommendations to the audience.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much, Gonzalo.